the opportunity to speak here. We're really excited to see all the faces, and hopefully we've got some great pearls of wisdom to share with you guys. Really just a little bit of background on Realm Digital. We're a consulting company based in South Africa. We've been around for 2 decades. We really service across various industries. Daily Maverick on the media side, Sanlam in financial services. We work with quite a few of the banks in the retail space. So quite a broad spread of that experience. And really, before we start, I wanted to say, I'm going to stick this mic here. I wanted to kind of maybe take you guys on a little bit of a journey to think about, what the perfect business world actually looks like. So you don't have to close your eyes or anything cheesy like that. Yeah. So we don't have to close our eyes or anything cheesy like that. But really, infrastructure really works. Obviously, this is a very, I wouldn't say it's only in South Africa, but we've definitely got our infrastructure issues. No load shedding, servers don't crash, projectors, Teams, we obviously had a bit of a nightmare week with Teams recently as well. We've got government always having your back. So taxes are fair, that's always up for debate. And government's paving the way for success. So there's no legislation that is standing in the way of doing business. And government's really the guys that are pushing us forward and creating a really great business ecosystem for us to work with them. Customers. There's happy customers. Budget's always just enough. You don't need to push for budget. Deadlines are never too tight. You've always got more than enough time to deliver. Project scope never changes. Once you sit down, what's on the proposal document is what you're going to be delivering at the end of the day. There's none of that scope creep that crawls in. And finally, your team's always happy. Just smiling, happy teams. Staff never leave. Everyone feels fulfilled every day. Looking around, you walk to the office each day, you just see smiles and happy faces looking back at you. So maybe just a quick show of hands. Anyone experiencing this environment at your work at the moment? I don't need to spend too much time counting the hands there. But really, I think the key thing is we know that business just isn't a Netflix series. It's that idea of walking into the office, everyone's eating donuts, everyone's on a best friend basis, slapping each other's backs, loving it. The reality is business is a graft. It's a long distance race. It takes guts. There's a huge amount of resilience that you need to be able to. When you're a startup or really corporate, it's just really, really difficult to be able to deliver, particularly in the South African in the South African space. Every now and then we'll have a call with a UK customer, and they'll say, things have been tough this side. Internet's slow. Buddy, you've got no idea. Let us tell you about some of our problems. And really, in Cape Town, we hugely blessed as well. But really, business is a real graft, and at the back of your, sitting in the shadows, there's always that loneliness of being able to, make decisions, what decisions to make. Often you don't know which decision is the right decision. It's really choosing the lesser of two evils. And in the shadows, there's always that lurking imposter syndrome. Where you feel like your mom or your dad should be holding your hand, but you're actually the CEO of the company, so you're there alone. So really, what I wanted to share today was six lessons from the trenches. We've done our time. Realm's been around for 23 years now. We've seen a lot of trends. We've seen a lot of technology come and go. We were one of the BlackBerry launch partners. Actually, we saw BlackBerry on the screen earlier. We were building BlackBerry technology, and then all of a sudden, BlackBerry wasn't around anymore. AI, obviously, a lot of talk about AI at the moment. But these are really 6 lessons, not tightly related. Really, I've really tried to pick and choose a couple of lessons that have really impacted Realm Digital particularly, and hopefully you guys can get some value from it as well. So really, lesson number 1, read the season. So we've all heard that saying, there's a time to reap, there's a time to sow. There's a really great saying around knowing when to wait is important. is as important as knowing when to act. But really in business, what I've really seen is that there's two key seasons that you really need to worry about. There's the cold, hard winters. That's when your cash flow is struggling. Everyone's stressed in the business. Projects are over budget. Team capacity is stretched. Maybe there's been someone's off sick, or there's a resignation that the capacity is just stretched. Personally, you feel just completely burnt out, and the business just feels like it's on knife edge. You walk in, there's these very curt conversations with everyone. No one's hovering around the kitchen with a cup of coffee to chat about the weekend or all that kind of stuff. People are in and out, and it's just, there's just that tension in the air. And then you've got these warm, sunny summers that business is great, revenue is solid, staff is feeling fulfilled and happy, everyone's really loving their job, people are feeling positive, projects are going well, you feel like processes are just working in. The business really just feels like a smooth, well-oiled machine. You just walk in there and everything is just working well. You get to the point that you start getting cocky where you think, maybe it's time that I write a business book for these amateurs out there and really show them how to run a business. And then just as you start writing that book, you get hit with winter again, where you just end up, revenue starts taking a dip, you start losing projects, you have a key resignation from your business and that. The big difference between an experienced leader and an inexperienced leader is really the ability to be able to not only recognize these seasons, it's easy to kind of know when your business is in the dwaying, but really to be able to be in a position to actually act accordingly, to be able to notice the change in the season, let your staff know that you're heading into a new season, and then really start preparing for it. Obviously preparing for the winter or the summer. So when we talk about preparing for your winter, what do we really mean there? So, if there's any Game of Thrones fans here, you'll know the winter is coming. And I think really it's about, you're the experienced leader in your business. We're not only talking about the SMME market here, even big corporates. We're seeing a lot of really big weathered corporate leaders that just really aren't seeing the signals, or seeing the signals and actually not conveying it to the rest of the team, or acting just like, there's just one big happy season and, not actually planning for that. But really let your team know the winter's coming, prepare the business to start battening down the hatches, watch your team for burnout. It's a key time to really be looking at the staff members and, giving a heads up to HR saying, we're heading into a bit of tough space now, we're expecting staff to be maybe a little bit of extra overtime to be able to cater for some projects that we're running into. Encourage staff to speak up if they're struggling, more now than ever. Especially if you're in the tech industry, you'll know that there's a lot of tech resources that are very keen to kind of go down with the ship. They'll quietly just sink under the water there and without actually speaking out. Definitely slow down the spending on non-critical items. If there's anything that you would normally be splashing out for, cut back on those things. And then really try to help lighten the load on your team. If you have some big OKRs that you're pushing for, or strategic objectives that can potentially be delayed to the next quarter, now's the time to actually, as the leader of the business, actually kind of extend a little bit of kind of grace and mercy to your team and actually nudge that objective a little bit further down, rather than loading your team up while you're in the middle of this business winter and then putting your hands in the air and saying, how did this happen? How did we get a resignation? How did this project get a little bit poorly? And then really, I think that this last point there is really, really key. Make it clear to your business, your team, and get your managers to make it clear to their subordinates that this is just it's just the season. We're going to make it through. It brings a huge amount of comfort to your organization when they see strong leadership that knows how to read these signals, that's preparing the team for it, and can actually help chart the course, letting them know that, listen, it might seem that we're in this never-ending tunnel now, but there is an end to the tunnel, and we're all going to pull through. Lesson number 2 that we picked up along the way: care personally, challenge directly. So great saying here by the author of Radical Candor, says caring personally makes it much easier to do the next thing you have to do as a good boss, which is being willing to piss people off. So if you the leader in a business and you've never pissed someone off, you're probably doing something wrong. Obviously, there's a respectful way of pissing people off as well. It's not about hacking people down. But really, the book Radical Candor, essential reading for any business leader. Get your teams to read it, get your staff to read it. They'll understand where you're coming from. Distill it into your own internal course and present it to the staff so they actually understand, why leadership is acting the way they're acting. But really, what it gets distilled down to is they talk about these 4 communication styles. That on the horizontal axis you've got challenge directly, and on the vertical axis you've got care personally. So the bottom left-hand corner here, we've got manipulative insincerity, and that's really where you've just got an apathetic leader. He sits there, doesn't care. Doesn't care if for the team members, doesn't challenge anyone, and that's where you get that really, that stagnating team. The great staff members, team members will actually leave because they just hate the apathy in the business, and you'll just end up building this really, really great team of terrible staff members. There's no challenge or anything happening on that side. On the top left-hand corner, we've got the ruinous empathy. That's when you care personally about your team, but don't challenge directly. So it's a bit of that kumbaya vibe where everyone loves each other and no one challenges, everyone's friends, and the moment someone goes off track or isn't following processes, leadership just turns a bit of a blind eye. So there's none of that challenging directly. On the bottom right corner up there, we've got obnoxious aggression. So that's when you've got a leader in the business that is absolutely no problem climbing to staff members. Often, you'll see that it will be a public crap out session, tearing into staff members, in a public forum. But, really just doesn't care personally about the people. Doesn't know about this, doesn't understand what's happening in the background. Often, those leaders are referring to resources. We've got resource shortage. There's no people here, it's just numbers. And really in the top right-hand corner there, we've got the sweet spot, which is called Radical Candor, which is really about caring personally and challenging directly. And I think as leaders, we know this, but there's not that penny dropping moment of, do you actually, care personally about these people? I think for me, the challenging directly part wasn't too much of a struggle for me. I think I'd just been weathered after a couple of years of running a business that, when people, when processes weren't being followed, I had no problem saying, what the hell's going on here? We've got this process, we all work through it together, and you're not following it. But that caring personally, I think that in the leadership space, especially when businesses start going through tough spaces, the first thing to go is that caring personally. Eventually it's just kind of got to move the business forward. People are going through personal issues on the side, and can't waste time worrying about that. Got to carry on driving forward. So really, what does caring personally look like? So truly care about your staff. There's obviously, we've all experienced staff members who are like, oh goodness gracious, I'm going to get a coffee. Oh, he's in the kitchen. Let me leave my coffee for a little bit later, and I'll come back. We've all had staff members that might be a little bit of a kind of a pain in the arse, maybe how they deal with certain situations or whatever. But the essence there is, as a leadership or as an organization, you have to care about your staff. If you walk into the room and you don't care about your staff already know that you don't care about them, regardless of what you say, your demeanor, the little subtle messages that you send in, body language and things like that are sending a clear enough message. So, starting point is to truly care about your staff, get to know their aspirations, learn about their personal challenges, understand the individual goals. So, obviously, if you're a CEO of a huge organization or CIO of a bank, you're not going to be able to run around to all 1,000 or 500 staff members to have a deep knowledge, but understand your leadership team. Sit down with your core leadership team to really understand what makes them tick, and encourage them to do the same all the way down, and get that really solid leadership structure in place there. Challenging directly, be honest and straightforward in feedback, focus on constructive actionable points, and then give feedback immediately. I think that give feedback immediately is a critical one. We're seeing a lot of managers, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scribble this down for a performance review in a month's time, and then sitting down with them in a month's time when no one can actually remember the context of the discussion, and it's just very, very poorly handled. The one I'd like to add on the bottom here is praise in public, challenge in private. There's there's part of the book. It just talks about radical candor isn't an excuse for being a dick. It's as brutal as that. Don't treat people poorly and then just radical candor. That's what it's about. So it's about being professional and compassionate, and really get that into handling these conversations the right way. Lesson number 3: you'll lose people along the way. So I think, for me, interestingly enough, this was probably the toughest thing for me as a CEO of a business to really get over. I think I brought a lot of these airy-fairy ideas of, we're all in it as a team, there's this trust and loyalty. Often you'll sit down with team members, have conversations of, are we in it together, we're going to take over the world together, and then everyone high fives, and then the next day you get the resignation letter from that same person who's scared with the eyes. We're all humans. It creates trust issues, and it's easy to let that fester, and eventually you start becoming so thick-skinned that the key staff members that do hang around start getting treated that like they just don't trust anyone else. So I think a big challenge for me to get over the years was really just understand that people get to the end of their journey with you, they move on, and I think kind of reflect on it, but don't let it fester. You've got to move on. The flip side of this is when you need someone to go. I think that every now and then you've got the someone that started the journey with you. We were talking earlier about starting in a garage. Realm Digital started in a garage, just like Dimension Garden and every other tech company really. And often it's a bunch of friends or potentially family. And you get that point where the marketing manager that started with your business when you were working in the garage isn't going to be the same marketing manager that will be able to run your multinational business. And a key kind of thing there is really to be able to, again, read the signals and have that conversation. Keeping that person around isn't doing them a favor, it's not doing your business a favor. And it really just, it's key to be able to have those conversations to see when the time's right to be able to go in separate directions as well. Become your client's Yoda. So, any Star Wars fans here? There must be a couple at the back there. That back corner is obviously the little Star Wars fan club. So really, what become your client's Yoda is, when we started out as a business, we really like to think of ourselves as the knight in shining armor. We come in to gather in and save our clients from their digital mediocrity. We're going to be the heroes. And very quickly we picked up that our clients didn't want to be the damsel in distress. They actually wanted to be the heroes themselves. So there's a really great book by Donald Miller, and he refers to a whole bunch of different movies. You've got Lion King, where you've got Simba getting mentored by Rafiki. You've got the Karate Kid being Mr. Miyagi. You've got Neo and the Matrix and all these movies. And it's a common Hollywood theme where you've got a hero and a mentor, and often the mentor is potentially stronger, potentially wiser, and potentially, in all areas, actually just better than the hero of the story. But what you don't see is that that mentor is actually kind of taking the limelight. So, just coming back to our Star Wars analogy again, is in Star Wars you've got Luke Skywalker, he's the hero, so that would be your customer. Central to the story, obviously their customer faces challenges and they're seeking solutions to overcome those challenges. And then you've got your business guy, Yoda, not the hero of the story, but he's the mentor. He offers wisdom, tools, and support. And really, the space you want to get to with your clients is that you're empowering the clients, you're not replacing the clients, you're equipping them to succeed and not overshadowing their story. I think it's often you deliver a great project, you can't wait to get in front of the media to kind of claim the glory for delivering this great project for your client in that. And I think that's something that we really, it was a big penny dropping moment on our side, and how can we position our clients and the leadership at those clients as the heroes of the story. I'm going to fly through the last 2 years quickly. So chase insights, not data. So interesting enough, Mark Twain all those years ago had a quote saying, data is like garbage, you better know what you're going to do with it before you collect it. So I don't know what data Mark Twain was collected back in the day, but who knows. And really, in this age we're overwhelmed with data, from Google Analytics, all the sales tools that we're using, stacks and stacks of reports and everything. Obviously, there are some exceptions to the rules. Businesses that collect data and sell data and provide that data to other businesses. But for many of us, we fall into that trap of just wildly collecting data, like a teenager collecting friends on Facebook. You don't even know these guys, but we're just going to collect them anywhere. And collecting data when you don't have a plan with what you actually want to be doing with that data is really a waste of time. There's huge overheads storing that data, being able to process that data, and keeping that, maintaining that data. So really make sure that you identify the specific questions you want to answer with that data before you collect it. Really see how that data is going to be able to move the needle on your business, whether it's improving customer experience, whether it's about increasing revenue, identifying products that you should be selling that you're not selling. And then really interesting thing that we picked up is that there's a bit of an idea that data is for BIs. We've got the BIs there, they look at the Excel spreadsheets, and the rest of us humble, normal humans, we don't get involved in that sort of stuff. But sit down with your team and train your team on how to be able to see the story in the data. So, it might be your marketing manager looking at Google Analytics data and saying, what is this data actually telling me? Your dev team looking at performance logs, your HR manager looking at the HR data and seeing, this person's going on a lot of sick leave, is the indication of burnout there. But data tells a story, and it's not something that you need to necessarily wait for a BI to be able to pick up. And then just the final point here is really adaptability is key. I love the way that some of the other, I think the questions that you guys were asking earlier there around this adaptability. So Charles Darwin said, it's not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the ones most responsive to change. So you're hearing a lot about, this digital transformation. Everyone's pushing digital transformation. Everyone's talking about innovation, driving innovation. But very rarely do you hear about businesses being trained on how to be more adaptable, being able to move with times. I think the best way to sum up adaptability for me is, being able to change under pressure. It's easy to have a nice run where we can really just plan it and you can kind of slowly model your change. But when there's a massive change in the business like AI, it just doesn't happen. I think the two ladies up there were talking about the corporates really struggling to be able to change in this space. And I think great point. Just three quick shares from our side. So just on how Realm Digital's really got good at adapting is in 2011 we started a business called Snaplify. So Snaplify was a digital magazine reader. So we basically provided the F&B Private Life magazine and the Woolies magazine was all distributed on Snaplify. And in 2012, a crisis emerged in South Africa. I don't know if anyone can remember when they started finding all the textbooks that were meant to be delivered to schools, they started finding them on dumps. So what we did at Snaplify, we pivoted the business. Unfortunately, we had to cut some clients loose in the meantime. and we basically made a textbook plan that took us to 2015, where we were primarily, well, we were only focused on distributing digital academic content. We received funding from Angel Hub, which is Michael Udan's VC fund, in 2015, and in 2019 we became Africa's largest distributor of digital academic content. I think if we were still selling digital magazines now, we wouldn't be a blip on the radar. We probably would have been, I don't even know how many people are even reading magazines. And another use case here from 2001, the kind of sort of 80% of our existence, we've been focused on PHP and Java development. Absolutely no .NET capabilities in our business. In 2019, we started seeing a significant increase in .NET projects popping up primarily in the financial services space. Within 6 months, we started a .NET team and actually had an augmented team on large financial services, one of the leading financial services companies. And within 1 year, .NET became our primary development technology, generating just under 80% of our revenue in the organization. And that's really just a complete U-turn in our business. And just the final 1 year is, let me just quickly say, it doesn't look like this one. So the final 1 year was that in October 2023, we started seeing a large upswing in emerging technology projects, so virtual reality, augmented reality, and AI. At that point, we were still really trying to come to grips with the technology. December 2023, that same year, we had a fully established emerging technology division that was delivering deeply integrated AI and VR solutions for large enterprise clients, including PwC and Sanlam and a couple of others. And in 2024, where we are now, is we've become a leading AI VR solution provider, and that division has become a really powerful revenue stream, which has opened up a whole bunch of clients that we probably would never have been able to engage with if we were to actually playing in that space there. And that is it from, I'm going to skip over this one, I think we're a little bit short in time, but
Simon, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. This mic is a bit louder than the other one. Lee, if you're